garden. I'm going to talk about the cost for this year's garden, a pretty big garden, and I'll go through it item per item. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to put in a garden. And I try to be as cheap as possible. And, you don't have to break the bank, put in a nice garden. First, here is some volunteer pumpkins mixed with squash. They don't cost anything because it was seed from last year that came out of a compost pile. And there's a bunch of them. There's one here and there's one there. They're all over the garden. Here, the asparagus. This here is, for like 4 or 5 years old. I probably spent, I don't know, $6, $7 maybe initially. And I had it over in the neighbor's yard. And the neighbors put tarp on top of it because she put it in the flower bed. And I went over there and I dug them up and brought them over here. And I got 4 asparagus plants growing, and they're doing good. Next year I'm going to start to harvest them more because I think they're strong enough to harvest. These tomato plants are also volunteer. They came up in a compost pile and I grabbed a gob of them and put in hills. And these fence posts didn't really cost anything. My wife was running for office, and to put up signs, they gave her fence posts to use, and they're still here. Well, they're still here, okay. And this wiring is no cost. It was just stuff laying around that looked like this one. This is a charge. This is the old style Apple charging cord, and I'm using it to keep these tomatoes inside the posts, keep them off the ground. And there's another volunteer pumpkin or something. Okay, here, this little plant is a nightshade plant. It turned up in my garden last year, and it went to seed, and now it's kind of all over the garden. Those are just when they turn black. They taste good. They're just a little berry. They taste real good. I think you can make pies out of them if you get enough. Maybe I'll get enough. Okay. Here's a pile of, mostly it's duck manure mixed in with straw, and I'm going to put that around my corn, I'll show you the corn here in a minute. Here's another tomato with fence posts and throwaway wire. Here's some more volunteer pumpkins, squash, whatever it is. And here is a tomato grown out of a toilet. One of our toilets quit working, flushing good, and now it's a planter. And here's a cantaloupe growing out of a pot. I got a bunch of pots here that our neighbors, they were ordered out of the house because the house was condemned, and they left a lot of junk. And some of these pots are part of it. And so I got them. They're just laying around blowing in the wind. Here is a pot we got. It may cost, $2-3 maybe. And we used it for flowers, and we didn't plant flowers this year in that pot, so I just used it for, looked like a cantaloupe and a watermelon. That's doing good. And here's some Here's some pineapples. I think I went to the food bank, and they had, some pineapples that were out of date, and I bought some, and actually this one here is the top of that one over there when it had a pineapple. So we got a pineapple a couple years ago. It was little, but it was tasty. Okay, and here's a bucket. It's a broken bucket, and I think it leaked and then it broke on the bottom, and now it's a tomato planter, and this tomato is quite impressive. It looks real good. Here is one of the more expensive items this year. It's a Bush Goliath tomato, and it's got, oh boy, look at all them. It's got a lot of tomatoes on it, and they're big, and they might be ripe in a week or two. And Nanakin has some tomatoes. She bought it for me, and I'll just put that in the cost too. And here, I'll turn around, is my third sweet corn. This is the third planting of my sweet corn. It came out really good. Only one seed failed to come out of 72, and that's a real good percentage there, better than advertised, and it's looking good. I'm going to put that duck manure around it maybe this coming week, give it a little more nitrogen. And along the building here is more of those volunteer squash. All those that are right here in this frame they started there, and they're spaced out good. That area is poorly lit because of this building, and things do okay, but not optimum growing there. But whatever happens, and it'll probably be a bunch of pumpkins. And here is a bunch more of those pots that I decided to put tomatoes in. And I used chicken manure with straw and some kind of that scratch in the chicken pen that has just everything, just dirt and everything mixed in, a good mix. I didn't want to burn the plants. I got the manure in the bottom, and they're doing fine. And then on top, I put, Nana bought a bag of a mulch. No, it's not mulch, it's potting soil. And she didn't use it, and I used it this year on this. So, I mean, she probably got that big old bag for $5, and I used maybe about a fifth of it, not much. Okay, here's a potato row, and this is a large, large 3-footer or more. I think these are the Yukon Golds. But this one here, this first one looks like it might be a Cannabec because it looks like the other Cannabecs. And I got spent about $13 or so on my potatoes this year, seed potatoes. And let's see, I think I put in, there's 48, 36 hills of potatoes with $13. Here is some sweet onions, Georgia sweet onions. Decided to try these because people in the household, they don't like my hot white onions, and they're pretty good size, but they're telling me they're ready to harvest. Their tops are falling over, and that's what they say. I've been looking at other people's videos, and they say when the tops are over, they're done. And I got to tell them, don't buy any sweet onions because they're coming in from the garden. Okay. Here is just some giant sunflowers. I grew them last year. They're getting head high, shading up the corn some. I probably got a pack sunflower seed last year for maybe $1.50, something like that. And they're good to look at, and you can bake the seed with salt, and you'll have sunflower seeds to eat. Last year's I haven't. I got them all sorted and shelled, but I gotta get them in the oven eventually. All right. Okay. Here's the carrots. I got the seed as a gift from our friend, and that was a great gift. I mean, that's probably one of the better gifts I ever had. It's kind of, and that was at really technically no cost. And I think I forgot to tell what the cost of these onions were. These onions were like towards $6 for the there wasn't seed. It was starting plants at Rural King. Got them at Rural King. And what I've learned is that by other people's videos on these onions is you got to plant them in the fall. So I might have to figure out how to get some onion sets in the October period and put them in the ground for the whole winter. I guess they must just kind of grow as it warms up in the spring and gets a good start that way. And then I'll have, like, baseball, softball onions if everything works out right. These are kind of bigger than a golf ball. I'm happy with it, but they're going to have to be harvested quite soon. Here's a volunteer tomato there was a little gap in the carrots, and I put that in, or left that tomato to go, and it's got tomatoes on it. So another volunteer. And here is my first corn. It's got silks out, and the tassels are out, and they're pollinating. I saw some pollen come off, so they're doing good. Big row, or these big ones. These are big potato plants. These are Kennebecs. They are incredible. It's part of the $13 group of potatoes I bought, and I got those at Rural King too. So, and here is some Nana's tomatoes. I think she bought what's there, 7 here? Yeah, there's 7. She got 7, I think another one, 8, and then she got some peppers, and I think that was like $24, something like that. A little too much for me. And here is, well, this is a flat Dutch cabbage that went to seed. And I don't know if the seeds are going to be any good on this one because it died. But these back here are, I think there's 3 of them. And they got tons of seed on it. So it looks like I won't have to buy cabbage seed or even plants. If I get them then they're around the New Year's or even earlier in planters in the house, I'll have plants ready in the spring. So that's the plan. Here's some, let me go down here. It's a good thing when you can't find your way through the garden. Here's another one of those nightshade berries. They're blooming down here. Better picture of it. Okay. And here is, these are, acorn squash. And Nana got a squash to eat, and she didn't. Where is that? Oh, where's the other one? It bloomed yesterday, and I pollinated it with some other plant, some other squash, and it probably will set a squash on it. So that was at no cost. and used the seed from that acorn squash he didn't use, and I got lots of seed for next several years. And here's some more of the Yukon Gold potatoes. And I remember with these cabbages, I got a set of 6, I think, last year for like $6. So technically it's $6. Now this big sunflower is a volunteer that was seed from last year that popped out of the head. And it's huge. And you know, that one's no cost, that's a freebie. And here is some different kind of cabbage going to seed, and these are, I think, Jersey Wakefields. They're a nice little green cabbage. They I think I bought them like maybe for $6 initially, and that was 3 years ago. I bought them 3 years ago. They got cabbages, and that winter it got cold enough that it froze all the foliage on it clear to the, but the roots were alive, and it shot up, and it shot up and started growing last summer, and then it put cabbages on again. So I got 2 years out of cabbage, 2 years of cabbage out of one set, and these pods are really fat. They're gonna be loaded. So I'm gonna have all kinds of seed for that. And here is some climbing beans. These are turkey craw beans. They're like a legend in the South. They're like, you gotta have those turkey craws. The story is that someone butchered a turkey and they found a bean seed in its crop, and they call it a turkey craw bean. So, and they're putting a lot on, and hopefully we'll have some tonight to eat. Oh, here is my water collection. No cost. All these are just pails, paint pails, water jugs, garbage cans that got extra garbage cans, and they're about all full. And a barrel that was over at the opposite neighbors, that when they moved, they left a barrel that held water. I mean, those are like $20. If you bought empty barrels, they're like $20. Well, that one's not $20. Okay, more potatoes. There's these up right here in front are red potatoes, but they are potatoes that I had last year, and I cut them in half and I put them in the ground. So 8 over here, and there's 8 in another spot that there is really no cost. So, and I don't have a tiller. I'll go up here and look at my tools. My hoe, and when you have a hoe that it kind of rots out at the top, you stick nails or anything in. Sometimes a shovel, the hoe part, I don't know what they call that part, it comes off, but you can stick nails. Here this is kind of the proper way of holding it in, but to hold the spade in. And this hoe is, I don't know, I had this when we lived in South Dakota, so this one's like, it's 30-40 years old, and I'll just count that as no cost. And here's a step stool that came from Mama's after she passed away, and no cost. I mean, we got a lot of gardening stuff from her stuff. And here's the old shovel. This is the main tool. I mean, for the potatoes and the corn and like a lot of the hill stuff. I'll use it and dig and spay up ground. No tiller required. I mean, this shovel is good 40, maybe even towards 50 years old, and it's got a metal handle. My dad, we had a shovel that lost its, those wooden ones. They only last for a few years, and if you get rough with a new one, it would break the wood. But he welded just a pipe laying around to a shovel, and I've been using this shovel for like decades, and that's technically no cost. It was just junk material. And here's my hose, probably a good 20-30-year-old hose that and hey, I think one of these is fairly new. I think maybe, well, I think we got ones like at Lowe's or Home Depot one time. You buy a hose, it's $15, $10-15, who knows. And here's a rake. I think it's like a Mamaw rake and a Mamaw shovel. Well, we call this a grain shovel, and Mamaw had one of them. I use that a lot to move mulch around. Here's like Mamaw's wheelbarrow that we took, and it's now full of water. It's handy to, you don't have to. I use it like a wash basin when there's good clean water in it, and I use it for doing a lot of hauling dirt and stuff and rocks and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, come to think of it, I'll get to the rock. Here's our old wagon, 20 years or so. There's the kids' wagon. Now I use it for gardening stuff. And here, when I was thinking about it, is like bricks and rocks and whatever that, I put a lot of this stuff around plants in the spring to keep, keep the wind from getting to it, and, animals and stuff to dig around it. And those were just laying around the property and the neighbors and whatever I can get a hold of. And we made a driveway, and these pieces here of concrete were sawed and broken, and I used that stuff in the garden. So just don't throw anything away. Okay, let's go down here. Is everybody having a great Memorial Day? I am. Memorial Day weekend. So, okay, here's some white onions, and they're looking terrific. And I think I got the sets for, I don't know, $3, $4, $5. I mean, you buy 2 onions and there you go. You spent the $4 or $5, and there's a whole. And these might be the best ones I've ever had. They're just looking amazing. This guy here, it might have a big old softball onion on it when it gets ripe. And the lettuce here, I planted this from my seed. My lettuce from last year went to seed, and at no cost, I saved the seed and I planted it. It came up real thick. It's still going pretty strong. It's about done for the year. It'll start getting bitter and start going to seed, and I'll probably save the seed again for next year and volunteer squash and squash and tomatoes. That's no cost at all. And okay, tomato, and here's cabbage. These are just a green cabbage, and I think this is some of my seed from Patriot Supply through, and I was looking at the InfoWars website at gardening stuff, and I got 2017, I got a a tin with pretty much, because I never had a garden here in Tennessee. For the first time in 2017, I got the Patriot Supply, a good starter kit. And I think these seeds germinated. I eventually got enough to germinate to get 8 hills, or 8. I think there's more than 8 cabbage. Some of these got 2 cabbages in it. So, I mean, I remember buying that starter kit was $40, pretty high. But this is only part of a pack. Heck, this is probably not even $1 a seed. And look, I got 8 nice cabbages. And same with the tomatoes. A lot of these are from that Patriot Supply. These are beefsteak tomatoes. And look at these. There's a whole bunch of them on this one plant. And the others are going to follow suit. And, it's like maybe less than $1 for that seed. And I think I finally used that seed up. So I'm going to have to get to the other seed I have, other tomato seed, and plant it next year. And these are from, starting the house. The cabbage and the tomatoes I started in the house on January 11th. So you got to start garden in the house early. And next year I'm thinking going about Christmas on some of the stuff and get it started, and it'll be really good sized. And I can stick out cabbage in February, like maybe even early February, and it'll start going. And another thing with the cabbages is what you really need if you grow cabbages to keep the caterpillars off is Captain Jack's BT. I mean, try to remember that really works. And this year I got a bulk amount that you mix in with water. You dilute it, and heck, I probably haven't used $1 of solution yet on these cabbages. And most of the garden I use the Home Defense spray. It's for lawn or for garden and everything, and it keeps pretty much all the other pests at bay. And I buy one of those every year. It's $5-6 or so. And I used it on my potatoes. They have this real little bug that puts some pinholes in the leaves. This year I got ahead of it, and the leaves look really good. I'll go back to spot on the potatoes. And the potatoes, I've never seen them this good. Okay. Sweet corn again. This is the second planting. Probably not even $1 a seed. I got at the co-op in Sweetwater. I looked around and I almost by accident saw a pack of seed that's probably 100 kernels in it, and it's got a real good rate of coming up. I don't have to go back and drop seed in a hill again. This year I planted all my corn, put 4 seeds. I plant 4 seeds to get 3 plants, and it worked. Most of these have 4 plants. That's quite a few, but they'll pollinate really good and put on some ears. This is probably some of the best looking corn I've ever raised at this point. It's been really wet. It's been growing good. Here is a bunch of pumpkins and squash, whatever they are, that came up in the corn, and I'm probably going to weed a lot of them out. And when the corn's done, I'll leave some just to grow, unless I have some other plan. And this came from the chicken manure I brought back from the neighbors. I fed them. I fed the chickens last winter. Uh, Pumpkins. We had 150 plus pumpkins and squash and stuff. Made jack-o'-lanterns and donated a bunch and gave a lot to the chickens. And usually they eat the seed, but sometimes they bury the seed, and the seed came back in the manure. And here we go, the return of the pumpkins. And here's another tomato. A Nana tomato. What is this? No, this is well, it's technically, she got it. It's called a Big Zack. And this thing has huge tomatoes. And here's 3 rows of the volunteer tomatoes that came out of a compost hill. And I'm using a lot of string and posts to, when they get big, it'll keep them off the ground. I've done this before. It works pretty well. And here's some giant Marconi peppers. Nana got those, and that that purchase of 20 some odd dollars, and she likes those. But I end up eating most of them because there's too many, and I put those in chili and all kinds of stuff. Okay, more tomatoes. These are the, what you call pineapple tomatoes. And every day I gotta come out here and get these tomatoes to stay in the box, stay in the wire, or they'll flop over. And they get on the ground and the tomatoes will rot. And these are pineapple tomatoes. They're all setting tomatoes right now. They're kind of stringy, but maybe that's their style. And here is some sweet potatoes. They're purple sweet potatoes. Nana got some of those at she got a lot of these and tomatoes at the Inglewood Farmers Market. She said she got these 6 tomatoes for $1.50, and the sweet potatoes were I don't know, I can't remember. It wasn't very much. I bet it was under $5 there's 4 of them. I bet they were $1.50. Let's say this was $6 expense for the sweet potatoes. I've never grown sweet potatoes before. They're a stranger to me. And I've looked at a lot of videos on them, and I got some kind of idea. They're going to be like all over the place. They're going to take up some of this potato area and probably be around these tomatoes. These tomatoes could die out and the sweet potatoes still be growing. These potatoes here are seed potatoes of mine from last year, red potatoes. And they're looking good. And I think they are going to have a lot of potatoes underneath. They're just pushing up the ground. That's a great sign that the ground's being heaped up. Are you out again? There's that chicken. I'm gonna have to round up a chicken. Maybe I'll just do it in the live stream. And here's some more volunteer squash, pumpkins. And there's tomatoes mixed in there, no cost. There's just no cost. And here is some butternut squash, part of the Patriot Supply. I think there's 4 plants. I think I planted a lot more than that, and only 4 came up. But that's enough. That's good. We're good. And watermelons. And these are just a bunch of seed I've got. I think I've gotten a lot of seed. I got a lot of seed in like 2018 from food bank. I was picking up some stuff, and they had all kinds of garden seed. And I still have a lot of it. I've used a lot of it, and I mean, that was at no cost. And some of these watermelons were from seed from, um, maybe it was part of the Patriot Supply part, and maybe a few of them. And some of them were from a watermelon that we ate and saved the seed. We just threw the whole kitchen sink of watermelon seed because they're old seed. You don't really know if you're going to get much to come up. Okay, that's about it. We need some viewers. I'm gonna go get that chicken. That chicken doesn't need to come around and dig. I'm gonna get that chicken. So I didn't add it up, but the cost this year of the garden, when I factor everything, it could be, with what Nana bought, it could be $50, $60. And look, we're just gonna get all kinds of stuff to eat over the next several months. Is the rooster out too? Oh, you bad boy. Are you gonna come in? Don't come around me. Oh, jeez. Why don't you come on this side? Get over here. Get in there. Get in the... She's in. Now the rooster. I think I'm probably going to have to end the live stream for this rooster. Where'd he go? All right. Here's the neighbors. This is probably more interesting in the garden. Neighbor, she's got ducks. The ducks are the patrol. They're the cops. They love chasing that rooster. A chicken's getting a fight, they get arrested. And she's got some of these little pullets, and she's got I think there's 9 laying hens, and she brought in 15 more. I call them, they're pullets. Quit beating up on that one. You're so mean. Okay, I'm gonna end this for what it's worth. And 39 minutes, okay. Get notifications, get out of there. Now how you, nope. Oh, exit. Okay, Jim Miller garden, and look at the crazy chicken that don't stay inside. We're gonna leave the live stream and maybe do it next week.